Alliance Live, Self-Management Week. Hilda Campbell, Cope Scotland. Ideas to improve the impact of our networks and support those who lead them.
All the materials that I'm going to be talking about can be downloaded from Cope's website. And at the end of today's session, I'm going to do a flash report, again inspired by work that Mandy did around compassionate communities. And it'll just be a little, hopefully, friendly to read little magazine that captures the key points from today. Slides will be available within the Alliance to be shared out. There is the difference between collaboration and conversation. Sometimes we have these really exciting conversations where we're setting the world to right, but then the day job kicks in and somewhere or other it disappears. When we collaborate, we take the ideas that emerge from those exciting conversations and we make something happen. And the suite of resources I'm going to share actually are an example of that. They started with a conversation and then they took themselves to another place. So network weaving is a term originally coined by June Hawley, and networkweavers.com, highly worth registering with to get the newsletter. And there was a handbook that June created, which the Q community offered people an opportunity to learn more about. I was fortunate to attend that. What I realised though was the actual original handbook was quite big and it was knowing where to start. So we spoke to June and asked June's permission to adapt it to make it easier to dip into. And we've worked with the Alliance for years. I've known Mandy for years around networking. So we approached the Alliance and said, would you like to work with us on this so that we can put these materials together, work with the Q community to make sure that they're relevant, but also to share them widely, which is the reason why during Self-Management Week, I'm grateful to be offered this space to come and talk to you today. So what we learned was one of the things were that people say, what is this network weaving? So we created a curiosity poster, and I'm aware the fonts in these might be quite small, but the full PDFs are all downloadable from our website. But what the poster does is just give you some places to start. So you can share and learn with others, or you can go onto other websites, or you can tap into some resources. So this is just really, what is this network weaving? This poster gives you some ideas of where you may go and find out a little bit more information. When we launched the material, somebody had suggested, so where do I start? I thought that's a really good point because we'd been working in this for over a year. And when you're immersed in something, you're immersed in it. And you think, well, if you're new to this, where do you start? So the contents of the resources were co-designed and produced with people involved in networks around common network challenges. So we created a validated self-assessment that's got 14 questions on it around feeling comfortable asking others for support, to being mindful of my own self-care requirements, to looking at the inclusivity and diversity of your network. How many ideas does your network generate? Once it's got ideas, does it take it to action? How much trust is there? And a variety of other points. And I'm not going to read all these out because I imagine as I'm doing it that people are having a look to see what they think. And what people are invited to do is score from 1 to 5, where 1 is strongly disagree to 5 is strongly agree with each of the statements. And we might be members of lots of networks. So when we're doing this exercise, it'd be helpful to think about a network that's maybe not really going where it should be going. It could be better. So if you've got a network and everything's going great, then it's going to score 5, so you're not going to need the materials. So what you're thinking about is a network that you know has more potential, but somewhere has got stuck, or you as a network member feel, I could be doing more within this, but I just don't know where to start. So this assessment, if you think, is the initial, right, okay, I'm interested in network weaving. I now need to think about what is it I need to learn. Again, the font's small in this, that's fine. You can download this as a full PDF from our website, and it's also editable. So that when you go into it, if you click on any of these points here, it will actually record your score. You can write in there your comments and then save it. And the idea here is to think about each of the 14 questions, to score it for one network that you're keen on developing further. And then if there's anything else you would like to add, this wee extra box there. And then decide what your initial priorities are. Now, it might be that out of the 14, there's 8 things that you score 2 or 3, and you think, oh, I'd really like to work on that. We're busy, we've got day jobs. We'll overwhelm ourselves if we try and pick 8 things. Pick 1 or 2, or if there's a couple that maybe interlink as your initial priorities, because it's better to start small and build than take on too many things and then feel overwhelmed. So you would capture what your initial priorities are, and then there's a reflective question, why you've chosen this priority. Because if something has value and an ownership for it, we believe in it, we'll find time to do it. If it's something that we think we have to do, then it's another chore. And the last thing we want is these materials to be another chore. The idea behind the materials is to offer resources to make life easier, because it really is complicated enough. Now, once people have decided, okay, these are areas that I want to work on, we have got 2 resources, the Tools and Ideas resource booklet and the reflective workbook. And I'm actually changing the cover on the reflective workbook, because what I've noticed in the Tools and Resources booklet, and again, I'm just showing this image in the screen, the full PDFs you can blow up to the size that suits you. But people quite like the immediate way that you can find out what the contents of this book is, to then link in with their what learning needs they've identified. Whereas the reflective workbook, which is incredibly detailed, it's not as easy unless you go to the contents page to know what the contents are. So I'm revamping the front cover of that, so that'll be coming out shortly. But to give a little overview, the Chosen Resources book offers ideas on learning more about network weaving, building relationships, evaluating networks, finding time, because that's one thing we all agree on, is finding the time, generating ideas, hassle with hierarchies, I've called it, but it's problems with power, which many of us can identify with, can sometimes get in the road of networks where they're not really networks, they're meetings. Taking ideas to action, being inclusive and diverse, network mapping, and also asking for support. And then the reflective workbook is far more detailed, and you can dip in and out of it. You don't have to start from the beginning and work all the way through. But you can say for yourself, well, I want to understand what's my role within my network? Why do I go to that network? What do I get out of it? What do I put into it? Now, in the nature of a job, sometimes there's things we need to turn up to. That's just the nature of the beast. We need to be there. We need to be seen to be there. But even at that, are other people feeling that too? And is there a better way that time could be used rather than have to be here? Or somebody else was supposed to go, they couldn't make it, so they've sent you. So you're there, but you really don't have any power to contribute ideas because you don't have the resources to back that up. So you're kind of there sitting thinking, why am I here? I'm probably not going to be back here again. What was that all about? So taking that time out to understand your role as a network weaver helps you identify what is a network and what's a meeting that I have to go to for work, because they're worlds apart. What's a network? What's a forum? Again, they're worlds apart. Networks are like the self-management network. There is no power within the self-management network. It's driven by the members. It's driven by each member comes as an individual. They've maybe got their organisation behind them, but they come as an individual interested in improving the quality of well-being for people living with long-term conditions, so that people can self-manage their conditions better, but also have improved responses from services, because self-management alone sometimes isn't enough. So common visions are very important in networks, because that's what drives change, it's what drives commitment, it's what helps keep people together. And other things in there as well is about motivating and energising our networks, because even with the best will in the world, sometimes we all get tired. The Q community is a really good place to network with people across the UK and Ireland, to share ideas, to learn from each other, and also it offers some excellent learning opportunities. I'm currently doing the Community Practice Leadership course. It's not costing Cope Scotland a penny. So it's a really good community to be a part of, and I just wanted to give a little plug for that.